fool of a took. I am Gandalf the Grey, not some conjurer of cheap tricks. You're listening to the Zak and Andy Show, Episode 4. Roll the theme tune. Hi, you fools.
Zak and Andy Show, the only place to go to hear a couple of guys giving shitty advice on the music industry.
Start getting pumped.
All right,
All right.
Let's do it. Let's get
You
pumped.
ready? You feel that?
Oh no, the budget equipment's already failing us. All right.
Because you keep adjusting it the wrong way. Why don't you do this? Why is
That should definitely be in the clip.
Why is that not in the clip?
Super fucking professional,
Like,
guys.
The clip is right there. No, you take.
No, I'm not using the clip, Zach. I'm above the clip.
Take the clip. No, use it.
I need more of this.
Take the clip.
It's not gonna bother me. The clip?
Yeah, but it's bothering me.
Give me the clip. Go on, Zach. There you go. Alrighty.
Yeah. Is it time to get pumped?
Is that in the right place?
Yeah, it's in the right place.
All right.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
Zach, follow me. Ready?
Yeah.
Hey, fucking pump it up. This might be what's giving me back problems. Is the intro? No, I'm sweating.
The vein in
I
your
know.
head.
I've got this one vein that just pops out.
This like little vein. It's just like, oi! Welcome to the Zak and Andy Show. I'm Zak Knight.
And I'm Andy Gillion.
And we're here for episode numero 4, which is going to be a pretty good time.
Would you believe we've made it this far, Zach? How does it feel?
Honestly, I did not believe that we will be able to make it this far, Andy. But you know what? Where there's a will, there's a way. And when there's not a way, there's tea and coffee to get you there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and we've had too much of both probably today. My caffeine intake is through the roof. My tolerance of caffeine is notoriously bad. I had the shakes pretty hard. You had to feed me some cheese sandwiches.
I did. I can see in your eye, actually. You look like you're ready.
I'm tweaking out hard, Zach.
You're tweaking out hard. I know.
Yeah.
But we actually have a pretty interesting topic today, which is quite a fun one to go through. Not really fun in terms of like what it's actually about, but it's fun for us because it's nice to try and help people with something that we both
suffer from massively.
Yeah, we've had a lot of trouble. So, Andy, what are we on about today?
We are talking about how to beat. How to beat? Is that the right thing? How to beat writer's block? Can you beat writer's block?
How to tackle it? How to approach it?
How to approach writer's block? It's something that I think is a problem for most musicians at some point.
Or creative people just in general. I mean, writer's block, and I mean, I think
artists of any kind.
Artists of any kind. I know we're saying, writer's block is probably, for us, it's obviously closely tied to writer's block specifically when it comes to creating music. But, writer's block, it's appropriate.
It can be any faculty
endeavor
of creating music as well. So it might not just be composing music. It might be lyrical stuff, trying to write lyrics. Getting writer's block for mixing is a real thing as well, as you might be able to touch on.
I hear that. I definitely hear that.
I mean, I've heard Colin Richardson taking the reins from an Andy Sneap production because Andy Sneap literally was just like, I just don't know what I'm doing here, which is not to say that he's not a great producer, but to say like he's just mentally burnt out and it's just like, dude, I'm just going to hand over to Colin.
That's a real thing.
Yeah.
I mean, burnout in itself is probably something. It's definitely a separate topic that we would run through a lot more in terms of a separate podcast. We should do an episode for burnout. Andy, write that down.
I'll write that down in the commercial break, which is coming up, guys, and we've got one hell of a commercial for you. Stay tuned for that one.
Yeah, in a bit, yeah.
mentally, that's, what have we got? Like, we've been doing this, 30 seconds? We can probably go to a commercial break already, right?
I mean, people have heard enough of our voices.
This is hard work. Yeah,
it's very hard work. Also, we're just going to quickly take a small segue there to talk about why Andy just can't control moving himself. He's shuffling
because
around.
I've got this fucking pillow. Like, my back just caved. I don't know, like a week ago, maybe after doing one of these podcasts. Zach decided to get a couple of massive cushions. You said cushion or pillow, right? This thing's like the size of, this is no good unless you're watching on YouTube. Look at the size of this thing. How big would you say that is, Zach?
I don't know. I mean, it's just moderate cushion size.
That's not a normal cushion size, dude. This is like, this is like a mattress. And there's no way that this works on a chair this size.
What cushions do they have in England, where you come from? Because this is a regular cushion in Australia.
Small cushions. This is ridiculous. And it's pushing me off the chair, but we should move on.
We should, because cushions are for the pushing and not what we came here for.
That's right, man. We are here to make it big in the streaming game. Isn't that right?
You know
but
what?
also to inform people and to have a great bit of fun along the way, entertain.
Yeah,
And,
I mean, that's kind of really what we're here for. We'll make it big in the streaming game. Maybe not. But I think this is, we're just here to help people.
there's something wrong if we're making it in a streaming game, dude. There's something
There
wrong with the
is.
game.
That's true.
We were touching on how to beat writer's block. We should probably talk a bit more about what writer's block is.
And how it's maybe affected us.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a quick segue on that way. It's kind of interesting right now because I myself am definitely deep in sort of the well of suffering from writer's block right now, which is very inconvenient considering that at the moment I'm writing a new record for my my band Color and Shade. Plug right there.
Plug.
It's been a bit of a tough time, honestly. I've been working on it now for a couple of months, and I'm notorious for being a sporadic songwriter. I could be very slow at writing a song, or I could smash something out super quickly. It just really depends on where the inspiration comes. But often the case is that I will get an inspiration for a musical concept, whether it's just one small thing or a larger thing, and I'll get all the ideas out that I'm working on. And then once I've done that, the writer's block hits, and I've still got anywhere between 3/4 to a third of the song left to finish, and that last part could take anywhere up to 10 times as long to write.
Yeah, something always happens to me when I'm writing an album, particularly for Moore's Principium S plug. My band, I'll write any of the albums I've written for them, and the first song I think it's usually like one of the first 2 songs I start writing will be the last song I finish. Something always goes wrong. I'll have intros is the easiest thing to write for me. I'll write a crazy epic intro, the cliche
You're
thing.
a bit of a master at that, though. Let's be real.
Thanks, Zach. Appreciate that, man. And then I'll get maybe I'll get a cool riff going. I'll get like the most insane kind of chorus or like bridge thing going. It's just sounding great. And then it will just hit the point where you need that extra spice. And that song will just be my problem child for like best part 2 years.
And I'm guessing that'll also, it won't just be like the song, it'll probably either be like 1 or 2 sections of the song.
Yeah.
You have that thing where you've got like a verse and you go, we need to have a verse, obviously here. And then you go, okay, well, I'm going to write the verse. And your first idea blows chunks. And then you're like, all right, so I'm going to sleep on it and I'm going to tackle it tomorrow. And you try and rewrite the first idea. That doesn't work.
Yeah, man, you just get stuck.
And then a week later, you're like, oh, I'm going to try a totally different idea. And then that sucks too. And it's
and then you quit.
Yeah, no.
But the thing is,
you don't quit.
Some of the best songs I've written have been those problem songs. And I think sometimes you have to just come to terms with the fact that a song may take 2 years to write. As long as you're writing other things in the meantime, never give up 100% on a song or an idea, I think is important. And in the digital age, we can write music on the PC or the Mac or whatever, and we can leave it half finished for a couple of years and come back. And that's what I tend to do. I write in chunks of ideas, and sometimes they evolve into a song really quickly. In a day, I'll have a whole song. Sometimes I could just get my phone and hit the record button on my phone, and while I'm driving, I can sing literally half. I can write a song in the style of Jack Black singing, like ridiculous. I've got all those files.
People on the podcast want to hear them.
I'm gonna so let people hear those at some point, but it's like it can come to me. Inspiration comes to me like that, and I'll suddenly write half a song like instantly. Sometimes I struggle to write anything in a day or even a week. The way I write Moore's Principium S albums is that I don't try anymore to turn up and plug the guitar in and just try. The way it works for me writing is I wait for the inspiration to strike, and then I either record something on my phone or I grab the guitar. It doesn't really work for me, at least with the band, to write music, to designate time. If I said, okay, it's going to take a week off just to write music, I might get nothing done in that time.
See, it's interesting because for me, I as you know how time poor I usually am, obviously with the studio and the other things that I'm doing as well. I actually have to designate time for me to sit down and write music, which is not in any way, shape, or form really ideal, and it doesn't push the creativity. So what ends up happening is I'll find that I will actually sit down and designate time to write music, but the way that I harness that is I take all of the ideas that I've voice memoed or written down to myself or whatever, and then do my best to try and recall that idea during the designated time for creativity, because then it gives me time to put it into the DAW. I use Cubase and chuck it in there and play around with it, and then hopefully start to do something from there. But I think the big thing, the way that I've found the best way to tackle sections in a song that you're really struggling with is every single time you try a way of tackling something, and I usually start with the drums. I actually usually start with drums.
You start writing a song with drums?
I usually start when I'm starting for a new section of something, when I've already got part of the song, I'll start with drums, because I find for me the rhythm, or at least the inherent sort of nature of how the section is going to go, whether it's going to push, whether it's going to be, sitting like a 4 to the floor kind of feel, whether it's going to have a halftime feel.
Yeah, I mean, it drives the song. So I guess you can take inspiration from just the feeling, the energy of the song, where it's going from the drummer's perspective. Or
yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I might spend like 2 hours programming drums for a whole section and just getting it down, getting the hi-hat pattern down to like a T, and then pick up the guitar and draw inspiration from that.
But that's interesting, because if you're struggling, if you're a guitar player and you're struggling to write music, maybe you've hit writer's block and you're literally coming out with nothing. I find it's kind of easier to say if you've got a keyboard and you know how to play a bit of piano and keyboard and or synths and the drums as well. If you can program drums and maybe even bass or anything else, just change to another instrument, try something else, put the guitar down, because it doesn't necessarily work for me anymore to just force myself to put a guitar in my hand and be like, I have to write a great riff. Sometimes that riff will be done on the piano. Sometimes that riff is just done in my brain. I think, honestly, the best music I write now, I actually don't write for a specific instrument. I hear pretty much just the whole kind of thing in my head, as if I'm listening to music. And then that's when I record that on my phone, just singing stupidly into my phone. But one way, if you're really struggling with guitar, maybe do what Zach said, switch to drums.
Yeah, it works. And I mean, I think a really good way as well is to just, when you, and this works a lot better for me when I've got a section and I know that I need to go into another section. Think about the energy that you're getting from the section that you've come from to what you're going to, and whether or not you want to keep the same energy or if you want to change it, and how you want to change it. Because if you want to change the energy to something different, the first thing to do, the easiest way to do, and it's somewhat cliched, but it always works, is to take the energy that you have from the first section before and either half it or double it for the new section.
Half-time that shit, baby.
The
classic thing is fucking, it has so much impact when you do that.
It really does.
Yeah, you just half-time that. I think it probably got a lot of bad publicity, though. It turned into a cliche, probably from what, metalcore? Would you say hardcore? Maybe hardcore stuff?
Metalcore and hardcore. Yeah. I mean, they both sort of stem the same kind of thing.
Yeah, but I use it for death metal, melodic death metal.
It works for all styles of music. I mean, halftime doesn't necessarily mean it has to be, riding on the China cymbal and snares, on every second bar, with that like kind of push kind of thing. Halftime could be you go to a funky halftime section.
That's Funky Town right there. It's halftime. You're in Funky Town
when it's halftime.
When everyone sits back and says, "Guys, let's just take it steady."
Yeah, let's take it steady.
Put a groove in here and let's
put a groove in there.
Time.
It's halftime when the music's playing and there's some terrible pop singer up there, but that's a whole different kettle of fish right there.
It really is. It really is.
But yeah, I think definitely would take the point to take away from that is that one technique that we both utilize in different ways is when you're struggling with your primary instrument. It doesn't have to be guitar, but when you're struggling with your primary instrument, put it down and pick up or access another instrument or another sonic template.
Yep.
It could very well be that you just changed to totally vocals as well. You changed to vocal melodies or vocal patterns.
That helps. It depends also if you're writing in a band, maybe you can, you can hit ideas off each other and write music that way. Maybe turning to others turning to others for help is great for this too. If you've got like-minded composer friends, or even just guys or girls who are into metal, just send them a demo. Ask them what do they think of it.
Yeah, somebody you trust.
Although, not the asshole friend that everyone has, where you just send them stuff and they're just like,
"Well, this is good.
Oh, you should have done this. Why didn't you do it?" Yeah, there's always everyone has that one guy. But
and also, don't send it to the person that is always going to compliment you. Like you've always got that one person that you know.
Send it to that guy, but then send it to the other guys as well.
People
you want
who are going to be critical.
Yeah, you want to get the little boost.
Yeah,
from the guy who's just kissing your ass, and then get the goods from everyone else.
I don't have the guy that's going to kiss my ass.
Nobody's kissing your ass, Zach. But
yeah, that's true. Except the cat. That's weird.
Yeah, that's really weird. How is Gandalf?
He's pretty good. He probably wants to be fed. It's about his time to be fed right now, but he's going to have to wait until we're done. So
it's unfortunate for Gandalf.
Look, he's a bit fat anyway. So
your cat is not fat, dude. You need to.
What do you mean?
Your cat looks. If anything, I would use the word svelte.
Svelte.
And I reserve that word for a very few things. And we can move on from the cat's diet.
He is very super fluffy, that's for sure. Though.
Yeah, it's just fluff. So we kind of touched on genres and talking about if you are partial to writing in different styles, maybe just stop for a second trying to write the same damn thing and write something completely different. Maybe just write something for fun that isn't stressful. Like stop beating your head against the wall and just start having a bit of fun writing something completely different. I have a friend, an amazing guitar player from Australia called Paul Wardingham, and he is an exceptional writer for many different genres based around metal, but he does the crazy lead guitar virtuoso stuff, a little bit djenty stuff, and he's also doing the cyberpunk synthwave stuff now. And he's told me that he writes 3 albums at the same time. And once he gets sick of writing one style, he'll just start writing on another album. And once he gets sick of writing that, he'll jump onto the other album. Eventually, he'll have 3 albums ready all at the same time. And, he's saved so much time because all his inspiration wasn't eaten up by just smacking his fist against his monitor whenever he can't think of an idea.
Yeah, well, it is a really good tactic, and it works very well because it's quite easy to be burnt out trying to sit down and write another song like the one that you've just written.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a really good tactic to sit down and go, you know what, I'm going to just start playing, whether on guitar or piano or whatever, and whatever happens,
you come back fresh. You go and I'll go and write a piano sonata or a symphony or something, or some video game music, and then I'll come back and I'll feel like I haven't touched the guitar in ages, and it'll feel great again. But if you're just doing the same thing over and over again, it gets stifled.
It does, and it's also a really good idea. Drawing on that, it's a really good idea to sit down and actually try, I guess you could say, try something for yourself that could be challenging as well when it comes to genre choices or stylistic choices. Sit down and go, I've been writing, stadium hard rock songs for the last 6 months. So now I really could afford to sit down and try and write like a rockabilly or a ska song, and then sit down and try and do something like that. And you'll find that you'll develop new techniques, different chord choices, different rhythmic choices, different melodies.
I think we can at this point advise our listeners and viewers to go back to the episode about genres that we did.
Yes,
and have a good old time there, because we kind of touched on that there, don't we, as well?
We definitely did, but I would say that it's definitely important and relevant for this particular episode, more like as a tool for people to utilize. And I mean, the other thing is you might suddenly find that you're actually pretty good at working on a different style of music and enjoy writing that too. But don't get yourself too muddled up, but you should utilize working with other styles of music as a tool to help you deal with any roadblocks that come in your way when it comes to creativity and writing.
Ultimately, it's going to happen. Everyone's going to hit the wall
Everyone does.
And just not want to pick that guitar up or not want to write that style of music again. I know it happens to me all the time. It takes me, a couple of years to write an album in one style, usually because I'm very picky. I'm very
for good reason.
It takes a lot to impress me. I don't impress myself very often. I have to really push it to get the best out of myself. So it takes a long time. So, split it up, write a crazy jingle for a podcast, just mix it up a little.
That was pretty damn fun.
That was good fun. Yeah, that was. My God.
So speaking of the whole thing of writing and writer's block and all of that, a great point to make in terms of a good way to deal with it, which is something that we're actually going to do very shortly on this podcast, is taking a break. Yeah.
Taking a break is, I think we could all learn from that lesson in life.
Taking a break just generally in life is
from musical endeavors, from friendships, I didn't want to bring it up on the podcast, Zach, but
I mean, this is getting a little bit personal here, Andy. You're looking at me with that crazed caffeine eye now.
It's just getting a little close. It's getting a bit too much now.
It's, you know what it is, and this is gonna suck for people who are only listening to the podcast. They can't see. Andy's issue is that I saw him this morning and I asked him if he'd had a haircut, and you see he actually hasn't had a haircut. But the problem is he set his razor just a little bit too close to babyface.
Dude,
setting.
I went from like a 7 to a 3.
Yeah.
I thought I was going, I don't know, I think it might be my girlfriend. She accidentally said it. I don't know what she was doing with it. No, I can't blame her on this. It's all me.
I mean, you're looking for someone to blame.
Honestly, I'm just trying to point the finger at this point.
You are trying to point the finger,
Andy. I've only got myself to blame, and now I look about 12. Even though I've got stubble, but it's just something changes.
It's not good enough, Andy. I mean, if you're looking at YouTube right now, you can see that he's...
Why didn't we touch on that on one of the last podcasts when people telling me on YouTube that I'm not metal enough because I don't have long hair?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's plenty of people in metal who don't have any hair who are brutal as all hell. So I really,
that's a very good point.
And what do you guys from everywhere from classic metal all the way to current stuff? I mean, look at Judas Priest.
Yeah, Kerry King, Phil Anselmo. I mean, look, let's not go into it, but the beard probably helped with my tough guy image, which is non-existent. Someone started. I don't know how this started, but it is people have referred to me as the accountant of death metal.
The accountant of death metal.
Which I absolutely love.
Oh my God. I really want to get a mug for you.
Yeah, I don't have any.
That.
I think it's literally because I combed my hair that day, or I don't have long hair, or I don't have any tattoos as well. I hate, this is segueing massively, right? But I can't even write someone's phone number on my hand. That's how much I don't like the idea of ink being on my, it's not just ink, I want to be clean. I don't want that stuff on me. I don't want to get a tattoo and then the next day regret it.
Yeah,
really.
I think that's just, you just, obviously you decide what you want and you don't want.
Dude,
I've got plenty of people that I'm good
Are you
mates.
happy with all your tattoos, honestly?
I love them.
Are you serious?
Absolutely.
They look great. So there's
the thing is, everything that I chose to get with all of mine is all related to family.
Yeah, right. That's fine. But let me just take you back to your childhood, right? Because what is it? 18 years old is the minimum age to have a tattoo. Even though everyone breaks the rules, it's fine. But it's not fine. But it happens, right? But let's just say that rule didn't apply.
Yeah,
I'd have a fucking Thomas the Tank Engine tattoo on my forehead right now. How's that going to look?
Well, I mean, you would have just got laser, I guess.
On your head, though. How
fault.
good is laser technology these days?
From what I've been told, it's pretty good. I'm not going to get any, but...
The point I'm trying to make is, I don't even know. How is this relevant to anything?
It's not relevant to anything.
Let's get back
the point
onto
is that you look like a baby right now compared to normal.
Yeah.
You're the accountant of metal, and
Love that.
I'm going to get you a mug that says that, and
no,
maybe a T-shirt.
It was the accountant of death metal.
All right,
I don't
fine.
know
Well,
why
I've got to
that
get you a T-shirt with
Yeah.
like a little tie, and then like skull lapels or something like that.
I have no accounting experience other than I have short
I probably
combed
have
hair.
more than accounting experience than you do, but
Most likely.
yeah, that's down to my other shit. But anyway, no one cares about that.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, we did have the point about taking a break and how that's useful. A really good thing that you could tie into that was another point that we wanted to make, which was when you take a break from writing, don't just like stop, put your instrument down, sit at your computer and just wait for something to happen. Literally vacate yourself from the creative space so that you can create in your mind that inspiration again that's going to help you get back to the point that you want to be, or go to a different place that you weren't at before. And there's lots of different ways that you can do that. We're going to touch on a few points that you can utilize, but really it's all about just finding out what is the best for you and how you draw the best inspiration of what you could do to take a break. The first thing that works really well for me is leaving my apartment. I'm really lucky. I have a really great park just outside. And leaving the apartment and walking around in the park, and just not listening to any music,
and not always fully clothed either.
Guilty as charged.
No, I mean that's not true. Zach usually wears clothes when he goes out, but yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Films, watching films, great soundtracks on films always do it for me.
Some feel-good films. Probably maybe don't go and watch something that you find that's super depressing if you've... The
one for me that I'm thinking of now that had the biggest impact was Beauty and the Beast, right?
Oh, yeah.
Ananda, my girlfriend, she was just like, I just really want to watch Beauty and the Beast tonight, the original.
Yep.
A few years ago, I said, yeah, go on then, put it on, right? We didn't even get as far as the intro credits. The music kicked in with that piano. I ran upstairs and wrote the song The Ghost.
Wow.
For Mors Principium Est from that. And the demo title was Beauty. And everyone, even Vile, our singer, his kids actually said to him, that's Beauty and the Beast. Like, 'cause it's not really like it. But even they could pick out the vibes that I was going for, and they knew, which is crazy.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you can draw inspiration from so many great places, and one of the best places to draw inspiration from when you're working on music, and it doesn't have to be heavy music, but it helps, is film and TV scores. Because the place where a lot of the people who create that music from is the same place where heavy music and all that kind of stuff.
The classical kind of inspiration and stuff.
Pretty much. And I mean, it could be classical, it could be, that more dynamic kind of modern style film scores as well. I mean, we touched on, one of our favorite intros to movies, which is the Studio Canal theme on an earlier podcast.
Yep.
But it's like I've actually written 2 songs with that as an inspiration for the start. Even just thinking about the drum patterns, the rhythm pattern of that.
But there's a crazy technique which I haven't really utilized. It's happened a bunch of times accidentally, which is I'll hear something, maybe Ananda's listening to something or a film's on or something, and I'll just hear like 2 notes, right? And then I'll just put my fingers in my ears. No, stop, mute it. I had an idea from those 2 notes.
That's insane.
And you can't possibly rip anything off by just hearing a couple of notes, right? So one great thing I might actually start to do is just play anything, and then just stop it immediately and then see if any inspiration strikes. Because for me, at least, when inspiration strikes big, I could end up writing half a song, honestly, just from hearing a couple of notes. Once it's something to start the cogs, because every composer's got the cogs there. Maybe they're just not going. You get those things moving. You lube those cogs up, Zach. Do you know what I'm saying about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to keep you fresh. You can, get slide around in there as you need to.
Get slippery with that shit.
Get slippery with it. Well, on that note, I think it's we talked about taking a break, and we've been going on for a bit now, so maybe it'd be a time for us to actually take a little bit of a break from this topic and give everyone a chance to check out some of these cool commercials that we've got going on.
Yeah, let's do that, Zach. I'm also going to throw this pillow into the trash because this is killing me. Also, my back is sweaty as right now. This is ridiculous.
That's incredible, Andy. I'm not struggling from that at all. So
you're enjoying your pillow time?
Yeah, it's good pillow time. All right. Well, on that note, let's hit this commercial.
Hit the theme tune.
I was working on this building site, right? It was the day from hell. I remember it well. I can still hear the screams. I'd forgotten my tool belt. My wife had forgotten to make the sandwiches. It were proper wank. I put a nail through me thumb. Everything went to shit. I had one fucking job that day. To bolt down that scaffolding. Did I do it? I fucking forgot, didn't I? I heard this horrible noise, clatter, 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 4 of my best mates plummet to their death and break their necks. As I waited the paramedics to turn up, I took a sip of my brew and contemplated existential mortality and the fragility of the human life.
Country Brew, bringing mindfulness to your workplace.
And welcome back
Yeah.
to the Zak and Andy Show, episode 4, talking all about writer's block.
Yeah, we're having a pretty good time so far. I mean, there's been only a few personal jabs going on here. Andy, you did tell me earlier in the podcast that you wanted to completely throw our friendship out the window. Unfortunately, we only have a door.
Things were said. We'll move on. We'll talk about them off air.
Off
like.
air?
Yeah.
Really? That's fine. Well, I think I know who would win in a fight, Andy, so I'm pretty confident.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll leave that one up to the viewers.
We will leave that to the viewers.
Pop a comment in the comment section.
On who you think would win?
Yeah.
Cool. So we were talking about writer's block and good ways to tackle it and obviously things that are associated with it. And you had a pretty good point that you wanted to lay on for this one, did you, Andy?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of it comes down to stress and just mental, the kind of mentality of the composer. Hitting that brick wall happens to me so much more often if I'm stressed. I can't write music if I'm stressed at all, actually.
No.
Yeah.
I know you've mentioned that to me before a couple of times, and I'm pretty much the same. I really find that if I'm really wound up, that it's just impossible to harness the creativity like you really need to. I mean, I find that I just need to be in a relaxed state to have my best creativity.
Yeah. And people think that if we're writing heavy, anxious, angsty music, it's better to be in that state, but it just isn't.
Not at all. No, in fact, it's totally counterproductive.
No, it is, and in fact, writing that kind of music actually makes me stressed in the long run, I think. So I don't know about yourself.
It's a bit different for me,
in some ways, it's a release. Some ways, because I can't switch my brain off, I'll go to bed and I'll still be writing the most furious, angry, fast, evil sounding music, and I won't be able to stop, and it'll drive me mad. But that's kind of a separate thing, I think.
That's maybe just an Andy thing, but
that might be something that I see my therapist about on another day.
Yeah, another day.
Yeah. But really, times I write the most effectively, I am just super chilled, and that doesn't happen very often. But just I'm not super stressed out. I liken it to sex, actually. Like a woman is never going to want to have sex if she's super stressed.
So you're referring to yourself as a woman having sex while you play guitar? Or?
Something like that, yeah. No, I don't know, because it might be different for guys. Super stressed, you could probably still, might do you good to, I don't know. I don't really want to go too far into that, but, it's just, you want to be able to relax and enjoy and create, and you're not going to want to do that if you're super stressed out.
Not at all, no.
Just not in the mood for it,
No, and I think, she certainly wasn't, as you said, but no. The main point to take away is that if you're sitting down and you go, I'm going to write some music, right?
Yep.
And you're really wound up, and it could be about writing music, could be about, it could be about work, it could be about anything going on for you in your life or other people that are stressing you out. My biggest takeaway is don't beat yourself up if you sit down and you try and write music and you're very stressed out and you suddenly go, I can't do anything. In fact, you would be better served if you know that you're really, really wound up. You'd be better served just saying, you know what? No, I'm gonna stop. And I'm going to do something. You can either choose to stop and actually come back another time, or if you feel that no, you can do a few things to bring yourself back into the present moment and actually get yourself away from being that super stressed. There's a lot of techniques that can be utilized to bring yourself into a calming state. I would definitely say that one that I use, especially when I'm writing, I haven't been doing it a lot lately, and that's probably my biggest fault, is utilizing meditation and mindfulness. And I won't step too hard into that for this podcast.
We could probably do a whole podcast on that.
We could, and we very well will do.
But you got me onto meditating a little bit in one time of need. Zach suggested an app Do you want to plug that app? Or
I mean,
is
I
there any
can
need?
plug that up. I mean, we're
There's
not.
look. There's loads of apps out there, right? Some you have.
Yeah.
Some are free. There's a bunch of good ones. Just have a look into it.
This podcast is meant to be helpful, so I'll mention the name.
Yeah,
for
go
people.
for it. I mean, it was decent.
Yeah. It's Smiling Mind. It's used quite a lot.
It's
by
an
a lot of
Aussie
people.
thing, right? So you've got this Aussie guy talking in
Very
your ear, but I
calm.
tell you, he's not your usual. He doesn't sound like Zach.
He doesn't sound
This
like
guy
me. He
has
hasn't been having too many, snags on the Barbie.
Yeah, we
as they say.
can't EQ that out of this
No,
podcast,
it's
unfortunately.
just impossible.
But seriously though, this guy has a voice of gold, and even in I think I told you I would meditate twice a day for a month or once a day for a month or something.
Yeah.
And I did, and it made a huge difference to my overall mood and creativity, and I was able to write better music, I think, or just feel like I'm more productive.
And I think that the biggest thing that I noticed as well is that you just looked a lot healthier
Really?
physically. Yes, because you got more sleep.
Yeah, probably.
And like that is a great thing to point out as well, is if you're finding that you're super stressed and you're hitting writer's block a lot when you're working on a piece of music or a creative endeavor, the first thing to do is actually sit down and look at yourself and go, am I eating semi-healthy food? Am I making sure that I'm giving myself enough space and time to do this project? And am I getting enough rest? Because it's a physical and mental thing. You could be sitting. I mean, I'm a massive hypocrite for this.
Yeah, I fell hard on all those things, and as many of our composing and mixing friends do.
Yeah,
musicians in general. I think are just generally shit at taking care of themselves mentally and even physically. So,
yeah. I mean, 4 hours sleep for a while most nights was a pretty regular staple for me when it came to working on our last album. And I mean, the only thing that I could take away that at least worked for that was that at the time, because I wasn't in a relationship, I was able to, do that and not piss off my other half. But certainly right now, if I was having 4 hours sleep, living in the same house as my partner and just being like totally incompetent at life, there'd be some serious repercussions very quickly for that, as there probably has been for you, Andy.
Severe repercussions. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am actually going to take this moment to reintroduce the ridiculously sized pillow that Zach provided me at the start of the podcast, because I need to start taking care of my back, because my God, man.
Yeah, because you old.
I'm fucking old. This is just the worst.
He's old, plus, I mean, like, I'm older, but I think the main thing as well is that...
you've looked after yourself better than I have.
Now, I would say only now.
I've
only the last couple
written
years.
5 albums. I'm done, man.
Hey, I've written like 3. So...
All right, you're catching up.
Not
You're
too
getting some
far off.
grays. You're getting some creases in your face there.
Getting a few creases, mate. Dude, there's a couple of valleys in here. You just haven't looked hard enough.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
I don't
dude.
want to look hard. I've
You
seen
don't
enough.
You don't want to look
I'll
hard.
tell you for face value, man. What you see is what you get with Zach.
Yeah, I ain't no baby face, that's for sure.
Yeah, no. Anyway, right. Let's
Moving on. The point is that I think there's taking a break, taking care of yourself mentally, and taking care of yourself physically.
yeah, goes a long way. And something that I notice as well myself is I could spend weeks just thrashing away at a single song or single idea, geting nowhere.
God, the mental stress for you,
Right.
dude.
But imagine if you stopped and just worked on other shit and then came back to that, you wouldn't have wasted 3 weeks. So almost learn when you're really in a rut. Sometimes it's great to persevere, but the days I've wasted where I've just said, no, I need to finish this song, and I've just come up with nothing for the rest of the whole day is wasted. Whereas I could have just put that aside, learn to just go, okay, you know what? Today isn't the day. There'll be another day where this song gets what it needs. Today, I'm not bringing that. I'm going to go and write something totally different, or just try a different song. Or you know what? Fucking go get a fucking takeaway or just go to
Chill
cinema
out,
or something, man.
Watch some comedy and just like let you sit down and watch a whole bunch of Fast and the Furious movies because they don't require too much brain activity. I did.
Can we please touch a little bit on that? Because I love the idea of doing the stuff I would never allow myself to do like that. Like live the average idiot's life of like
the average.
just
There's
fucking-
probably plenty of people in this podcast who enjoy those movies who don't think themselves as idiots, Andy.
I wouldn't use the word plenty when you're describing our fan base, but talk me
Fair.
through this, right? One day you just woke up and went, you know what? I'm gonna live the fucking life. I'm gonna work my way through these shitty movies.
Well, I mean, I was sick and recovering from being sick at the same time, but you know, because I'm an idiot, there's
Granted.
no such thing as time off. So
I know.
when I'm sick, I think, oh well, I'm home from
Whatever
home
else you had to
home
do.
from working in the studio or
Yeah.
working any other job or whatever, and I'm like, well, I guess I should be writing music right now, or should be editing
Man,
some
we should
vocals.
we should do a podcast on feeling guilty for not working 100% all the time, because I
Yeah.
suffer so hard from that.
Gosh, that's a really that hits home so
Like
bad.
I can't go and watch Fast and Furious because I'm just like, yeah, but you're not a millionaire yet from music. You have to just I almost punish myself for not being as successful as I want by just working hard. And every time I think back, I got to save some of this stuff. But every time I think, well, I'm not in the situation I want to be in musically. I'm still not making it big. I'm still feel like I'm getting nowhere. Therefore, the answer is to do 8 hours more writing or recording or mixing. It's so stupid, and yet a pitfall I go into every time.
That's pretty accurate, I would say.
But
for
I'm
you.
really sorry to jump in there, man. You had a good point probably about Fast and Furious, was it?
Well, it was just about taking some time. It doesn't necessarily have to be for a whole day, and in many ways doing it for a whole day is probably not super beneficial, but
Yeah.
a technique that I do utilize, and I would say that is not always super successful, but it can work, is if you've done a bit of, like, you've been productive and you've worked quite a bit working on writing music. It's probably more accurate to say that this is a lot easier for me to use as a technique when I'm working mixing or editing rather than writing music, because for me, mixing is very creative. Most of it's very creative, but a lot of it can also be very mechanical. And editing is very much a mechanical thing. It takes a lot of time, but it's very mechanical, so it's easy to focus until you run out of focus, and then you need to recharge your brain.
Right.
And then you can come back to it. But when you're doing that recharge thing, you just need to do whatever works for you. For me, sitting down and watching an action movie for an hour recharges my brain, because let's be
Mindless
real,
shit.
they don't have a plot.
Right. I tell you what, let's go to a segment, one of my favorites now. We're going to give you some wisdom.
You feel some wise up here?
Yeah, man, feeling it. And after that, why don't we treat all the listeners to you ranking every Fast and Furious film in order?
Oh gosh, they don't want to hear that shit.
Everyone needs to know. I
Alright,
don't want to
fine.
fucking waste 6 hours of my time watching those movies. Let's go to
Okay.
the segment. You're going to give us a rundown, save us a bunch of time.
Okay,
Let's hit the fucking jingle, guys.
done.
Struggling to write a fresh new track? Here's a tip. Set fire to that kitchen. Call the fire brigade, and while you're waiting for them to get there, write yourself a song. You can do it.
Alrighty. So I feel like that was pretty wise, don't you, Andy?
Absolutely, always.
Yeah, nice. So with that, Andy, he really set me up at the end there, just before we hit the segment there, which was very nice of him, asking me to rank the Fast and Furious movies. I don't really know how that's going to help people with writer's block, but I guess I'll give it a
We're
crack.
dying to know.
Dying to know. Well, the best part about it is I don't even remember all the movies. I only remember like
Just round, like give a
first
synopsis.
4
Give
or
the
5.
give like a tag, kind of like a description, brief description for the whole thing.
All right. Okay. So Fast and Furious, the most important thing to remember is that Vin Diesel is a dude who loves to drive old American muscle cars.
Right.
He's not popular with law enforcement. And
Really?
No. And some dude from law enforcement is, I forget his name, Rogers, Steve Rogers or something like that.
Steve Rogers?
I think that's his name.
The main guy in Fast and Furious?
One of them, yeah.
I don't think it's Steve Rogers. Are you
think
talking about
it's
the guy who died?
Yeah.
Because we're doing him a huge disservice by...
Oh, it's not. No. It's not Steve Rogers.
It cannot possibly be Steve Rogers. That sounds like no. It's
his last name's something else.
Look, it's terrible that we don't know that. There's going to be a backlash now
There
because
will
there's going to
be
be a lot of fans out there who
Yeah,
really
I know.
respect that guy.
Well, I did preface this to say that I didn't remember.
Right. So Steve Rogers, what does he do?
He's
undercover cop. Is he?
He's an
Yeah, there you
undercover
go.
cop. Yeah. And yeah, so he goes after Vin Diesel's character Dom, whatever. The thing is, I think where it sort of works in Vin Diesel's character, like Dom or whatever his name is, where it works in his favor is that his sister is banging. And so Steve Mate is like, well...
So Steve Rogers, yeah?
No, it's not Steve Rogers.
Steve Rogers he's got it out in a good way.
Don't say Steve Rogers. We're just going to go with Steve, okay?
Steve, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even remember his name.
You know what? Quickly round this up. We have not got time to be talking about this.
So we're going to work out what his name is so that I don't fail.
I think it's probably best that we, considering he's dead, I feel like we owe him a quick Google.
He was actually one of the highlights of the movies. I'll be honest.
Don't try and bring it back now, Zach. The hole has been dug.
The hole has been dug.
Steve Rogers has been done.
All right.
The damage has been.
Oh God, no, that's right. Because his undercover name for the first movie was Steve something or other.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, what's his real name?
Brian O'Connor. O'Connor.
It's not Brian O'Connor either, is it?
No, it is. Brian O'Connor.
It's Paul Walker.
Paul Walker is his name. I was talking about his character's name.
Right, move on from this.
Anyway,
okay.
The point is, right, okay.
The point is we were talking about writer's block.
We were. Why did you even make me go on the Fast and Furious?
I think they probably had writer's block when they wrote those movies.
I don't know if they did, but I'm going to make one point.
Yep.
What I don't understand in the film series is this. They go from being people who steal cars.
Got it.
And on like a state and somewhat national level in the States, right?
Yeah.
To suddenly becoming one of the biggest, most hyped tactical teams dealing with espionage on a global level.
Yeah.
How do they go from being car thieves to global level espionage without any like there's no training or anything like that?
Well, I think that does actually happen on a certain scale that you have criminals, their skill sets are utilized by the police. So you have someone who was, Catch Me If You Can, Leonardo DiCaprio, and then he ends up working for the government to try and tackle.
He already kind of had that ability from the start, though. I'm talking about how they suddenly just go from like
stealing cars is an ability.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about global espionage.
Yeah,
it's a little different.
Tell you what, Zach, we'll sit down, we'll watch them all again, and we'll do
what do you
some
mean
podcasts.
All again? You haven't even watched them.
I've seen the first one, I think. Look. We could actually do a podcast on like describing movies badly at this point. We're
doing a pretty good job so far.
Yeah.
I have a lot to apologize about. Mostly I apologize for Andy bringing up that question at the start. He enabled something that was going to fail.
Yeah.
So you're going to be the fall guy.
Okay, right. Well, I'm going to bring it back. We're talking about obviously writer's block.
And best way to tackle it, yeah.
Someone once told me that a technique, which is kind of the opposite of what I was saying, where it's just move on and try something else, or don't always just put a guitar in your hand, right? One technique, or one thing to remember is that creativity will strike you, and you never know when it's going to be. So the one thing you can control is just turning up. So as long as you turn up every morning, and you're in front of your computer, or you've got your guitar, or whatever way you compose, as long as you turn up, that's pretty much all you can do. And then creativity is up to the gods in a sense. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Make sure you're ready to write. Let that lightning strike, baby, and see what comes out.
Definitely. And just don't be wearing copper armor because that's really going to sting.
Have you been playing Zelda?
No.
What's
it was
that
a Terry
from?
Pratchett reference, but that's
Is
okay.
it?
Yeah.
Terry Pratchett.
Yeah, the guy who just don't be that guy who gets on the top of a hill wearing a copper armor and yelling, "All gods are bastards."
Which book was that from?
I think it's from Reaper.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's another segue. We got to be careful
it
with
is
this.
a segue, but Terry Pratchett, I will just quickly say this here. He is definitely my favorite fiction writer.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I once had a banged up copy of The Color of Magic.
Yeah?
And I pretended for about 7 years that I was reading it in school, and I was just not reading it. But I've always hated reading. I think mainly it comes down to the problem I've got with music just always been going on in my head. So my attention span is only ever at 50% because I've got this music thing where I'm always writing music. So whenever we would be told to sit down and read a book or whatever, I'd bring out my dad's copy of The Color of Magic, and that thing had been in my bag for like 7 years. I'd never read a page. Is it worth a read? Should I go back and read that one?
Yeah, definitely.
And then I guess the last point I want to make, which is again a little bit more on topic, thankfully, is writing lists, keeping lists and spreadsheets. One thing I do when I'm writing for the band is I list all the project files. So in Cubase, I forgot a song demo called like the best fucking song in the world, 28, or like I don't know, Metallica ripoff, 2014, whatever,
Yeah.
I don't know. Can you give an example
I
of
usually
a badly named?
I'll have like a working title that I'll have for a thing that I'm thinking of. It'll be like Walls 17.
What? Walls?
Like I'll think, because I'll usually come up with like a word that I associate with a riff.
Talk about creative block, mate.
Yeah.
Walls.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Anyway, the point is,
the point I was trying to make is what you can then do is you can stay on track with where you are instead of feeling completely overwhelmed, drowning in what you're doing. You can be like, okay, well, I've finished like 3 songs, and that's good. You can even write the BPM of every song. So if you have fucking 50% of one song written at 200 BPM, and then you look down the list and there's another song that's also at 200 BPM has only got 50%.
Oh,
combine that fucking thing, baby.
Yeah.
I've
done that
found
a
that
lot.
being really useful, man. Really
Very
useful.
much so. Or alternatively, just being like, this idea that I've got for this song.
Yeah.
What about if I just make that faster and chuck it with the other one? I've done that a few times.
Yeah, you can do that too. You can up it by 5 BPM.
Or slow it down.
Or you can slow that baby down, depending on the feel.
Exactly. Or another good technique as well is to take an idea if you've got and just remove one aspect and chuck it with another song.
Yep, there's that too.
That works all the time. But that's
how
getting down to...
How do you feel about people who say, just fucking delete it? There's people out there, I think even Hans Zimmer has said that. He's just said, just delete it if you're not feeling it. I'm not of that.
I can't say I've ever done that. I have found that in the past, I've written ideas that I've sat down later on and just gone, this is not an idea that I'm going to explore evermore. Yeah. But I don't.
Evermore? Who speaks like that?
Well, I do, so deal with it. But no, eventually I've sort of gone, well, I just don't think that there's anything further that I can explore with this idea. And at that point in time, I usually just put it in the old ideas not to be touched folder.
That's it. But we kind of spoke, but then...
But it's not deleted.
Do you ever revisit them?
Occasionally I do.
I've got a ton that I've forgotten about, but I think it's important. I'm going to stand by my point and I'm going to defend myself against Hans Zimmer. Because, Hans Zimmer, who even, that guy's just nobody
He's
anyway,
only
right?
like one of his biggest inspirations, but anyway.
But I'm gonna stand up for myself here, and I'm gonna say that I don't agree with what he's saying. I think what the point he's trying to make is, if you're stuck on a song and you've been stuck for like a week writing this one song, don't waste your time, which is exactly what I said. Great. But to delete that, no, put that aside. In a year's time, you might end up finishing the song. Some of my best songs for the band have been finished a year later. Don't delete it, put it to the side, and come back to it. But I think he does make a great point, which is don't get stuck on that for a week. Just move on.
Don't get stuck. And with that, I think it's probably time for us to wrap this one up. We've had a pretty good time. Not going to lie. I will say this though.
Do you think we touched on Fast and Furious enough, or do you want to go back into the?
You know what? I think I dug myself a hole. I made sure that there was plenty of limestone around, and I just threw myself in. And yeah,
I'd argue I dug it and kicked you in there.
you kind of just do that with life anyway.
Yeah.
You're always there to kick me in the back, isn't that the deal?
That's not true. That's not true at all. I'm always there for you, Zach. And yeah, I guess we need to wrap it. And
Yeah.
we'll probably go to Q&A. Is that what we do?
Yeah, we're
usually?
going to go to Q&A. But look, I think the thing I want to say the most is that writer's block is something that will happen. It'll happen to everybody. Don't feel afraid or scared or stressed or frustrated with yourself when writer's block happens. And I'm very hypocritical saying that because I experience that and all the emotions that go through with it all the time. Just remember that you've beaten it before, you will beat it again, and all of the songs that you have written in the past, you probably had writer's block at a stage in that. So the first thing you can do is just try and channel that. And if you can't, step back and come to it later, because creativity is not easy. And anytime that you treat it like it's just something that's going to be easy, it will probably be something that you're going to have a bit of trouble with this.
Yeah, and I would just like to end with a really great point, to just be kind to yourself.
Yes,
You
very
know?
much so.
Stop beating yourself up. Be kind to yourself. Go watch Fast and the Furious 4. And
Number 4, really?
I don't know.
You're
Gotta start
you're
somewhere.
going to call it right there. All right, he said that's it, ladies and gentlemen. So Andy has said watch Fast and Furious 4.
Tell you what, just put in the comments which your favorite Fast and Furious movie is, and we'll probably binge it out one day. And
Yeah,
we'll let you know.
we'll pick which one was the biggest one, and then we'll watch that live, and then every time there's something that Andy thinks is cliched and he gives me the look, I'm going to throw food at him. So I reckon that's a total win. And with that, we're going to call it for this particular topic. Move on to Q&A, and thank you so much for listening. If you obviously make any comments that you want to in regards to the episode in the various forms that we have.
Ping us an email with any questions. We can answer your questions at the end of every episode.
Yeah, we'll have an email on the screen here in YouTube, and we'll make sure that it's in the show notes on the Apple Podcast and Spotify and all the other streaming platforms, etc., and on Facebook. The most important thing is to take care of yourself. And remember that being a creative person is very hard. We know. And give yourself some respect.
And watch Fast and Furious. See you guys.
Yeah.
Why did that become the spine of the show?
Why? You fucking
know.
idiot.
Zak and Andy Q&A. Ask a question.
Welcome to the Zak and Andy Q&A. How are you doing, Mr. Gillion?
Yeah, dude. I'm still here. You're still over there. We're still in quarantine during this crazy time.
Yeah, my spirits are up,
we're
though.
back
I'm
for
guessing
another-
yours are too.
Yeah, spirits are, they're better than average. I'm trying to stay positive. That's what we all need to do in this crazy time, Zach. So, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? We're going to do this podcast.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll entertain at least 2 or 3 people listening.
Oh, look, let's be modest, okay, Andy? Maybe there's 4.
Yeah. I mean, people have pets, so they'll be listening as well. Let's not forget that.
That's true. But that's okay. Anyway, we've got some questions that have been thrown in for this episode, Andy. Far away.
Yeah, I'm actually going to take us back to the guy who rescued us last time. Burn back time.
He's burning back
thanks
that time again.
dude.
Yeah.
He is. He's. Hang on. I'm going to say, if I could burn back time.
Oh yeah. I'll have to edit
Bit of
that
share.
up.
I think I probably clipped. I probably clipped the mic hard.
Nah,
if you could just
you didn't.
auto-tune that one for
I'll
me. that'd be
auto-tune
great.
that one. Maybe give you a little bit of reverb and sound
Put a
pretty
bit
good.
of verb on there. Bit of delay.
Yeah. So how does it go? Was it, if I could burn back time?
Yeah. Well, he asked about 1,000 questions, so I'm just going to give you the second half because I want to pay tribute to that guy. By the way, if you've got any questions for these Q&As at the end of every episode, please just comment them below or wherever
watching this on YouTube, if maybe just you can, comment on a Facebook or Instagram post. We're there too. Twitter, that's apparently a thing. We're everywhere, Zach. We're a lot like the coronavirus at the moment.
Yeah.
We're infecting people with this horrible, horrible drivel.
Drivel, exactly, definitely. So speaking
But I will.
speaking of
Speaking of drivel.
Speaking of drivel, Andy, what's the question? No, I'm sure that the question's fantastic.
Right.
It's what we have to respond. That's maybe not the best.
Oh no, the questions are questionable. I will say that, but we're going to fire through them quickly now, Zach.
Alrighty.
So we're going to be really quick with this because they're strange questions. Favorite color, Zach?
Green.
I'm going to say purple.
Ooh.
Least favorite color?
Come
on.
What color is puke? There you go.
There you go. Puke color.
Puke color. Yeah.
I would have to say old woman pink. That kind of weird beigey pink.
Old woman
where
pink.
Everything you get to a certain age and suddenly everything you wear, your bag, everything becomes this weird off pink
it's
thing.
Like quite
color.
Faded as well.
It's just like the person. It's faded. It's dying off. I don't want to get morbid, but it's just a sad color.
It is.
It doesn't really hold any. Doesn't represent any kind of positivity. It's just a drab.
Doesn't have a bit of that much vibrancy going to it and all that.
No. But there you are. That's my least favorite. Okay, have you ever been to Maine in the US? Is the question.
No, I haven't even been to the States, unfortunately.
You've never been to the States? I have been to Maine. I didn't go on tour, but when I was 5 years old, we flew to Florida as a family holiday from London. And my dad tells me that we stopped off on the way to Disney World to refuel in Maine, believe it or not. So I've been there. Yep, been there.
That is fantastic. Well, I mean, I might actually be going to Maine later on this year or next year because my wife is actually in the process of finding out whether or not she's being invited over to a conference in New York for music psychology. So that, if that's the case, I get to go too.
Nice.
Yay.
I don't know what's going on in Maine though.
Well, I mean, maybe I could
there?
find a reason to go to Maine. I don't know, if I've got an electric car that I'm hiring there, I could maybe recharge in Maine. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, recharge in Maine. Yeah. I don't know.
That's
I don't
weird.
know what I'm talking
but
about.
I only know I only really know of Maine because Hawkeye from MASH, his character is from Maine.
Well, see, I only know about Maine because there's a band that I really like called The Maine.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, well, plug and shout out to those guys.
They're a pretty awesome band. They don't need our support.
Next question. Riffs, motherfucker, do you have them?
Okay.
That's the question.
The questions are, the question is, riffs, motherfucker, do you have them? The answer is yes. I do have those motherfucking riffs.
Nice. I mean,
I got some.
You'll know I've got them.
Yeah.
I'm packing riffs, man.
You've got more riffs up your sleeve than I do, that's for sure. Mine are all just like groovy and like generally more down tuned and like chunky, and there's a little bit of cool stuff going on with them. But yeah, if you're talking about guitar riffs, I've got them. If you're talking about vocal riffs, I've probably got more than you. And that's about the end.
Did you get
what? You're out there?
Oh, I don't know. I can riff some vocals, mate.
I didn't say that you can't. I didn't say you can't. I
Yeah.
said I just might have more of them than you because you haven't.
We'll have to have a vocal riff off, mate.
A vocal riff off.
Yeah.
I mean, is this like a challenge, Mr. Gillion?
Maybe.
Are we doing
I know
like an
you can
isolation
scream.
challenge?
I'll tell you this: Zach has got a killer scream. Your fry scream, as the technical term, it's killer. I love it.
Yeah.
It's so pure and saturated, and you'll win on that front.
Oh,
But,
well, yeah.
But
I guess
when it comes to soul, when it comes to a bit of clean singing, mate, a bit of
hey, I got a bit of soul in me. I just don't have the range as you, Mr. Gillion.
Oh, I don't have a very good range either. But anyway, let's move on.
You sound
Next
fantastic.
question. Thanks, mate.
Let's
Appreciate it.
Let's move on.
Appreciate it, mate. This is probably specific to me. Best thing about having a Finnish bandmate?
I mean, I can answer that question for you if you like.
on.
I mean, the best thing about having a Finnish bandmate, I mean, being in a band, so the obvious thing is he doesn't live in the same country as you. Is that the best thing about it?
Yeah, in a roundabout way, I suppose it is. I don't think there's anything good about having a Finnish bandmate. No, I'm joking. There's a weird thing about Finnish people. Seem to think that Finnish people don't speak. I suppose they're right in a way that it's almost like a faux pas to say "How are you?" to a Finnish person. That's the general consensus. Is that like, why are you intruding on my life? I'm fine. Why would you ask that? They're very they're not antisocial at all. I'm lucky. I think most of my bands are pretty chill people, and you know, once you get to know Ville, he opens up to you, and he's a nice, warm guy, really at heart. But they're a weird bunch. I will say that. I think I'm allowed to go on record and say that you Finnish guys, you're a strange bunch.
I think you can say that, Andy. I feel like you've got license for that.
Yeah. Shoe size. This is just getting silly. Shoe size.
Size 11.
I think I'm probably 11. How tall are you? I'm 6'4", I think.
I'm 6'1".
6'1".
You're winning,
Right.
Andy.
Yeah, that's all right.
You're taller than most people I know, though.
Do you collect anything? SDIs. That's about it. How about you, Zach?
Gosh.
Yeah, sorry, it took a turn. Go on, mate. What are you collecting? Anything?
What do I collect? Oh, magic cards, Andy.
Oh dear. God, do you know what? What's really funny is the next question is guilty pleasures ?
Magic cards.
Zach and I, Zach, when we first sort of met, for some reason we were both having a beer or something, and he just turned to me and he said, "You know what I would really like to do again?" And do you remember this, Zach? I just knew what you were going to say.
Yeah, it was like a bit of an
I didn't know
moment.
you at all.
No.
I didn't know you. And I just turned and I was like, oh my God, please say magic cards. And then he just went, and we both went, magic. It was the most ridiculous thing. I was like, oh my God, I knew you were going to say that. And then we actually played a couple of games of Magic, and it was like, damn, why did we ever stop this?
Urza was proud, I'm sure.
Urza was proud. God, we're showing our geeky sides.
But that's all right. I mean, look, honestly, Andy, we're actually going to have to set ourselves up sometime soon to like have an online Magic game, but like with the real cards. That would be a good time.
Oh yeah, quarantine Magic.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
actually, that's right. We did have we had a couple of mates as well who said that they were interested. So maybe we should organize like a quarantine. Would anyone? You can answer this in the comments, and you can tell us no, fuck no,
A resounding no. I think probably Zach.
But if anyone is interested, we could definitely do like a bonus thing where we did like a short, or potentially long, stream of us doing a live Magic game. Yeah, so you can let us know, or you can just say nothing.
We could also do a stream of, just painting one of the walls and streaming it drying. But we'll think about that maybe for the future. Probably be more interesting than this podcast. But there we are.
That's true. That's true.
All right, we're gonna hit him with the hard ones now. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Pineapple on pizza. It's controversial, Zach. What have you got?
The answer is I'm one of those people who can do both. Ha.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely not a fan. Pineapple, I absolutely love. Pizza, I love. Put them together. What's going on, guys? They don't belong together. They don't. I know you can pick them out and have them as a dessert, maybe, but it just doesn't. It doesn't work together, mate. No.
That's true. But I will say this, and this is going to get me a lot of haters, so bring on the hate, I say. I'm actually not a big fan of pizza in general.
Really?
Yes.
But you have a pizza place across the road from you that you really like.
Yes, that's pretty much one of the few pizza places that I actually like. I'm just not a big fan of pizza in general, because the majority of pizza that I find is just so greasy. And
that's the best kind. Okay, another controversial contribution to this would be me saying that I don't like traditional Italian pizzas. Now, I'm talking about the thin stone-baked pizzas where they barely put any cheese on.
I'm talking about the way it should be done. Sure, traditionally. But you know what I really like, Zach?
Go on.
The best kind of pizza is where you are pissed up, 4 a.m., streets of Bristol, and you stumble into a kebab house, right? And they're about to close, and they've got maybe a time enough to just put one last one through that conveyor belt. And it's deep. There's more cheese on there than is structurally possible. And it's just grease. There's at least an inch layer of grease on top. I want that pizza.
You want that pizza right now?
Yeah, I don't want the traditional in a restaurant eat with a knife and fork thing. Get that out of my face. Give me that grease.
You know what, Andy? Minus the grease. If you're talking about that stacked pizza, that's the pizza that I would go for if I was going to be in a position to have pizza. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just my like obsession with trying to be fit and healthy. I look at pizza and I go, too much carbs, not enough protein. So that's just me.
Sucks to be you.
Yeah, I guess it does suck to be me, but that's okay.
Okay.
I'm happy with that.
Coolest place you've ever been?
Oh, that is a really hard question, especially for you, I guess, because you've been to lots of places. But for me, the coolest place I've ever been, I mean, I think I'm probably going to stick with this answer, but I'm not going to be able to really justify it until I've actually been there on my honeymoon. But it's probably going to be Berlin.
Nice. Berlin's nice.
But I've only ever been there for one day.
Okay, cool. I like Berlin a lot, actually. Did you go there for the Christmas markets or not?
No, I went when I was 16 as part of a school trip, and I only got to go to Berlin for one day. And it was really cool, but I look forward to going there. It's the place I'm looking forward to the most when we finally go on our honeymoon, which at the moment is currently postponed, but we'll work that out.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
It's just totally postponed. Like at the moment,
so Zach's just got married.
Yeah,
and obviously, the flights are going to be cancelled and everything. It's terrible because of the coronavirus.
I mean, look, it's terrible, but I would prefer that everybody gets well and is safe. You know, my honeymoon is important, but it's not going to not happen. The flights are booked where they're all just gonna be pushed back to the time where it's available, and then we're just gonna go. So, I just
well said, Zach. Well said.
That's how I feel.
Bigger things going on right now, and
there are.
Yeah, we're all making sacrifices. So, good on you, mate. This is a great question.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I guess I didn't answer mine. I don't know. I've got around a lot, as you probably know, Zach.
Yeah, Andy gets around.
That's common knowledge, but I don't know. The coolest place, I love Japan, but I think Milford Sound in New Zealand is unbelievable. Unbelievably peaceful place. Loved it. Yeah, really nice.
I haven't been to New Zealand, so I really I feel like if it's anything like what I think it's going to be like, peace.
Yeah, it's breathtaking stuff. Okay. Shittiest rig you've ever played a show with? I can't wait to answer this one.
Oh gosh.
Sorry.
You know what? I owned this, and I can't even remember the name of it, but it was. Do you remember when Fender released that head and cab combo?
You're kidding me.
That was
Dude, this is the same. My answer's the same.
Is it before? It's before the EVH. It was like it's kind of like a cream colored one with like a brown.
Yeah, but
thing.
it wasn't a
Is it
head.
Supersonic?
Oh no, I think the one I'm talking about was like a Fender Jazz combo or something.
Oh no, I'm talking about the Supersonic. I think it is. I'm just looking it up right now.
And you owned that. And
I owned that.
What are you saying? What are you saying? It's just awful.
Yes.
What's wrong with it?
Well, I was trying to play like high gain stuff, and so I bought it thinking it was a great idea, and I had a tube screamer running in the front of it, and then I got up to play some like down-tuned super heavy stuff for my new metal band at the time, and I was just like, it was just fuzz central. There was just...
So my story is exactly the same. Let me take you back to 2014, okay?
Oh, 2014, hey? Nice.
We're on a European tour, okay, with Mors Principium, right? My band. We drive probably 16 hours to get to Belarus from wherever we were before. And I think we drove from Romania all the way up to Belarus, right? We think it's this big festival. We're headlining it. Pretty odd. It's a long distance to get there. It's one straight road. The driver's going crazy. He's losing his mind. We had a Ukrainian driver.
I see.
Because it's one straight road for 16 hours, you just lose your mind because there's nothing to take, you fall asleep, right?
Yep.
We turn up late. We get stuck at the border for, I think, 6 or 7 hours on the way in. Eventually we get there and we turn up late and we just walk and it's silent. And we walk out onto this stage, which is outside like a sports, sort of like a leisure centre, sports centre. And it's just the grass outside with a little stage on it. And there's fireworks duct taped to the front of the stage, pointing upwards.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. And the crowd, although, there may have been a few hundred people, they just stood there silent. And they'd been waiting a long time for us, I think. And we were like, oh, this isn't really what we thought. I don't think there were 300. I think there might have been 150 people or something. We walk on stage and everyone's just watching us tune our guitars and set up in silence. This one guy comes on the stage and he's trying to G up the crowd. And it's failing miserably. This guy's going, come on, shouting stuff in Belarusian or Russian, whatever. And everyone's silent. And then I look down, I'm like, where's my amp? You told me, where's the back line? We're supposed to have, 5150s or whatever.
Oh, yeah?
He was like, oh, no, 5150, you use Fender Combo. I look down, there's this cream-colored shit bucket of an amp, right? And it's the Fender Jazz Combo thing. There's no gain, right? I turned the gain to 11 and it just, there's nothing. It sounds like Eric Clapton, right? And I'm like about to play a Melodeath show.
Yeah. Clang, 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 clang,
So,
clang, clang, clang.
Luckily I have my tube screamer, so I turned every knob up to 11 on that, right?
Yeah, as you do.
And it was just unbelievable. And then right at the end, the guy, just to give you a bit more insight to that story, the guy pressed a button on the last song. He said, you give me thumbs up on the last song. I press button, a big firework go up in the sky, everybody happy. I'm like, okay, cool. Fireworks go off and we could have died. They go off.
Far out.
Explosion. And the guy is like celebrating as if we've just closed Glastonbury, right? And after that, it was a complete disaster because there was no accommodation booked. And I'm going way off on a tangent here, but this was the worst day of our lives, all of us, I think.
Wow.
There was no accommodation and we got driven to what was basically a crack den and told to sleep there. And the next day, after about 2 hours sleep, we're all itching because there's probably bed bugs and stuff in those. It was something out of Hostel, I'm telling you now. And we drove back to the border and it was another 7 hours to get through the border. And it was the worst day of our lives. And that sums up the story of the worst amp I ever used live, Zach.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, my story doesn't really trump that. I just remember back in 2009 when I played in a new metal band. I had my Fender Supersonic, which was like, I thought it was going to be super powerful because it had a 2x12 cab and came with a 50-watt head that matched it with it as well. And you could switch on the clean channel between like the bassman option and what was the other sort of general option that they usually had for Fender cleans?
Like
a twin.
There was
a
reverb twin or something.
Yeah,
like that.
something
What was
like
it
that.
called?
Yeah. So clean channel was great, right? Turn the gain on, and it's just fuzz. I'm like, cool. Turn the gain up, fuzz. Turn the gain down. Turn the volume up, fuzz. Turn the mids up. Just very, very audible fuzz. And I'm like, sick. So we played our our first big headline at a venue with a very funny name in Melbourne, which is actually quite cool, called the Ding Dong Lounge.
And that's definitely a brothel.
It's actually not. It is in Chinatown, which is probably the reason why they thought it would be a cool reason to name the venue like that. But
Unbelievable.
at that time, that was when people actually came to shows in local shows. So we were a very new band having our first headliner there, and like 300 people turned up. So that was really cool. But it was an interesting time. My guitar sounded like absolute crap. A lot of people seemed to think it was great. Nothing new there, no. A lot of people seemed to think it was a good idea and that, we sounded cool and all of that, but that's because we were A, very loud, and B, we were headlining, so that by the time we got on stage, everyone was trashed. So...
That's always a good thing, I suppose.
Yeah, but it sounded like balls, and then a month or 2 months later, the venue burned down.
Oh my God. The gig was that bad that people went back and burned it down to stop it ever happening again.
I mean, look, it did actually they did actually rebuild it, thankfully, because they had insurance. But yeah, gosh, that was a wild time.
That's
there you
crazy. And in these crazy times, I'm gonna end with this last question for this episode. Okay.
Alrighty.
And I want to say thanks again for Burn Back Time for bringing out all these amazing questions. So this one ties up nicely with what's going on at the moment. In that it's a bit of an apocalypse with the coronavirus and everything. Zombie apocalypse, what's your weapon of choice?
Oh.
Take it away, Zach.
You know what? I got to be real and think about practicalities. I know I'm Australian, but, one of those semi-lightweight or medium weight metal baseball bats, there's just so many reasons why it would work. Very, very powerful. It can't get stuck in anything like a sword.
You've thought this through, haven't you?
Yeah.
Do you take this to the supermarket with you?
Not yet, but you got to wait and see how things go with the restrictions, whether or not we need a baseball bat to fight your way through to get some of those diced tomatoes.
Didn't you go to the supermarket
I did.
Just earlier?
It was actually quite civilized and nice, but we did go right at the start of the morning. So we got there at 8:10. You're allowed... Basically, if you're not an old person or, disabled, or you have some kind of,
some kind of ailment.
Ailment that prevents you from being able to
fight people for toilet roll.
Which is really bad that's the way that you have to think about it.
Well,
but
and they let you in. They let you in,
if you let me finish, Mr. Gillion, we got there at 8:10 because between 7 and 8, unless you're within the category of the people who are, disabled or elderly, etc., you're not allowed into the supermarket. And then, we got there at 8:10. It was reasonably busy. There's a lot of things around the place saying how much you're actually allowed to buy of certain items, which I totally agree with. But we managed to get 2 weeks worth of shopping, which is normally we do a week and a half worth of shopping when we go anyway. So it's not really that different. No issues at all.
And what about the toilet roll, Zach? Did you get any toilet roll?
We actually don't buy our toilet rolls from the supermarket anyway, because we get them from Who Gives a Crap, because it's more of a environmentally focused source of toilet paper.
They've run out though, haven't they?
Yes, but all of the people who have an account with them pre-existing prior have had stuff set aside.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, it was pretty civilized. But yeah, the answer is a baseball bat, Andy, because 1, you don't have to worry about ammunition. 2, you can do a lot of damage with a baseball bat. And 3, it won't get stuck into anybody's neck.
It's so specific and well thought out. Well done. I think, honestly, my weapon of choice would be toilet roll. I think you could use it for bargaining.
You think so?
This torrid time. Yeah.
So you could be some kind of like toilet roll tyrant? Is that your vibe?
Yeah, that's it. The toilet roll tyrant. Yeah, that'd be me sitting on a throne of toilet rolls. And
you wouldn't actually sit on the toilet rolls, Andy. That would be such a waste of monetization right there.
I feel like I would, but they would have to be.
Maybe you could get something like immortalize the toilet rolls in a throne for you, but like actually cast it out of iron, so you could have your own iron shit roll, shit throne. You know. Would that be fantastic for you?
Either way, I think I'd use that, and then you can buy things with that, because I think that's the currency.
So you would have the throne of rolls.
I would be that guy people would come to for things. You know, I'd be the keeper of the rolls.
Keeper of the rolls. Okay.
Yeah.
Paper king.
Yeah, but honestly, all these people that have been hoarding it, it's been a nightmare for me. I haven't been able to buy toilet roll in 4 weeks, and it's just been a nightmare. So please, people, just when you go to the supermarket, just buy what you need, and everyone will be fine. The supermarkets aren't closing.
No, they aren't.
Chill
and
out.
I mean, look, honestly, Andy, we got there at at 8:10. And when I did actually make my way around to the frozen food section, which is right next to where they have the toilet paper, I noticed that there was about 2/3 of the toilet paper that they would normally have stocked there still there at that time.
Oh, really? You saw the toilet roll? You actually saw toilet roll?
There was tons there. So everyone's saying that there's no toilet paper. The short answer is just go in the morning. So, Andy, if you want to buy toilet paper, get to the supermarket at 8 o'clock.
All right. Thank you, Zach. And
can you report back to me on that tomorrow?
I will. And let's end it there. But another message of goodwill for everyone who's suffering in this time.
Not a shit story, just a shit roll.
Yeah. Zach and I are here for you. We're gonna talk nonsense. We're gonna keep doing it, whether you're listening or not. And we hope that you guys are staying positive and well, and please send in your questions and we'll do more of this for the next episode.
We certainly will. And with that, that's Zach and Andy out.